This story starts at a winery, where everything and everyone is dedicated to taste. It starts with a grape, hand-planted, hand-harvested. This is where her mother works. Then the grapes are crushed and the juice is stored. Flavor develops in the dark, damp space beneath the ground. When the wine is ready, it's bottled at the factory right behind her home. This is where her father works. Then it's shipped across the county, the state, the country. A bottle of wine on a dinner table is a symbol of luxury and leisure. But behind that bottle is something else entirely.
Taste is often a matter of, taste. When we talk about the five senses, we talk about something both universal and personal. We all sense the world through common channels, and yet we all sense things differently. Taste, touch, sight, smell, and sound. This month, we explore a story told through each one of our senses.
I'm Alina Abidi.
I'm Kristen Chang, and this is E Squared.
What do your parents do? Wine. That's what they do. They make wine. And they're like, oh my god, they own a wine company? No, I said they do wine. Yeah, sometimes they're like, what do you mean? Like, oh, well, my mom works in harvesting. My dad, works a lot in the factory and he does a lot of that stuff. Regularly per year, they're producing 200,000 gallons of wine. As the company grows, there's more opportunities for jobs, and that's a good opportunity for the families to work here because they have kids and they're open to those jobs and that experience. When I was younger, I would like to go watch my dad do his job and crushing grapes. They have this big machine thing. They bring these giant trucks and just flipping them over, and he's just doing stuff with it. And a lot of the workers who are here are Mexican, or they're Mexican American. So it's nice to be able to share that culture and know that, so it's comforting.
While experiencing the added benefits of living within a Latino community, Senior Fatima Mejia notices a different mentality at Monte Vista.
Getting invited to places and going to other people's houses and you're like, wow, you live in a 2-story house. I always find it funny when people complain about what they have. Sorry. Society in itself is you are this race, so you do this thing. You're gonna go to high school or middle school or whatever. You're gonna hardly graduate, and then you're gonna get a job at some waitressing place or whatever, and you're just gonna live your life like that. My brother used to get bullied a lot. He used to get in fights. I recall this one fight I heard about was after this kid had thrown his trash and said, "Pick it up, janitor." And that was really hard for me. It's it didn't even happen to me, but that was especially hard. I always get angry, I'm because that stigma again. It's not difficult for me because I've just learned to appreciate my minority. Whatever I am, who I am, I'm proud to be part of a really hardworking culture.
Success is defined in a number of ways, but in our community, making something with your hands isn't a common definition. In this opinion segment, we examine jobs that rely on our sense of touch.
When you think about Cupertino, the first things that come to mind are Apple, Google, and tech. We view our city as a place for the high-tech industry to flourish, but what about other jobs? The mechanic that worked on your car, or the carpenter that made your dining room table. The plumbers, the electricians, the gardeners, the chefs. Every day we find ourselves relying on the work of other people's hands. We're a country built on hard work, and a lot of that hard work is manual labor. So why don't we treat workers with the respect and recognition they deserve? Students Elizabeth Hull and Jeremy Jacob and teacher Ted Shinta describe the stigma they faced regarding their aspirations and careers.
Well, it all started around like that 7th grade area where you do the whole like applied arts, like elective course, and you do like the trimester of wood shop, the trimester of like actual art, and then the trimester of cooking. And after I did my trimester of cooking, it was super fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought that's what I wanted to do.
I started off as a machinist though, because I had an interest in gunsmithing.
So basically I just got into cars when I was 12. I used to watch my dad just drive, the way his legs were, how he moved his arms and stuff. And then one day I asked him if I could drive in the restaurant parking lot, and he actually let me. And honest to God, I actually did pretty good my first time. Like, I got used to the brakes, and I was just doing loops and stuff. And then I watched Fast and Furious, and that's when I got into really modding cars.
Finding a job is hard. Finding one you love, even harder. But for people like Shinta, Hull, and Jacob, their callings found them early.
I was accepted into the Culinary Institute of America like 2 months ago, and I'm pursuing a degree in baking and pastry arts, and then after that I'd probably end up opening my own little shop, probably by a beach, because I like the beach.
The Monte Vista environment can sometimes make it feel like jobs outside of tech or medicine just don't exist, or they aren't options for us.
The auto shop class actually is a lot of fun for me because I get to be around people that also enjoys learning about cars, and it's also like other people who aren't just school focused like at Monte Vista.
The stigma against manual labor creates the sense that people like Jacob, Hull, or Shinta aren't as valuable to our society, that they just weren't good enough to do something smarter or more lucrative.
Coming from Monte Vista, you do get the large majority going into engineering or trying to become a doctor or a lawyer. So being someone who's doing more of an art major, you do get like the people who go, well, maybe that's because she's like not a very academic student, she probably doesn't get good grades, she's going the easy way out and all of that. So yeah, you do definitely get judged not doing a tech thing in Cupertino.
An engineer is held above a skilled craftsman or something like that, you know, if you're any one of these other professions. And I just sort of feel there is a kind of societal bias towards steering people into these other things, whereas when you look at it, like let's say you were an auto mechanic, a skilled auto technician, then you could be making quite a bit of money, although it depends on how you're trained. But if you're highly trained, you'll make as much money as any professional. It's a good job.
But what we don't often take into account is that not everyone is skilled in the same way, and that we all find fulfillment in finding a path that suits us personally.
Same person who's an engineer could easily go into something like a cabinet making or something like that, and he might be happier. I'm not even talking about money. That might be the thing that really he was meant to do.
I enjoy, like, every time I'll wash my car, it's like I'll put the effort, I'll put the time to do it, because when I step back and look at it, that's all me right there. It's not someone else. It's not, oh, someone else did this, oh, someone else did that for me. It's, I'm the one who washed the handles. I'm the one who washed the car. I'm the one who changed my wheel setup. I'm the one who, does the oil changes regularly. It's something that you're pride in because you did it yourself.
The cheering of the crowd, the calls of the coach, the whistle of the referee. These are all the external sounds of a game, but sometimes players need to tune it out. Next, we'll examine an athlete's inner monologue as they take one of basketball's most fundamental shots.
A free throw, what is supposed to be the easiest shot in all of basketball. No contest, no variation. But why is it that even the best of shooters have trouble converting at the line? Two varsity basketball players, junior Rio Rangarajan and senior Mark Jaha, share what goes through their minds when they step to the stripe.
Before I go up to the line, I visualize myself making the shot, and I don't think about what's going on around me. I usually stand a little, like a few inches away from the line, and then when the ref hands me the ball, I step up and I put my right foot first, and then I take 2 hard dribbles. I look at the basket and I shoot it.
I used to start calming myself down because normally my biggest fear is airballing a free throw. So when I walk into the free throw line, I tell myself, like, it's gonna be okay. Like, don't panic. I put the ball on my right hip. I take a deep breath and I take 2 dribbles, spin the ball, bend my legs, and then shoot.
Free throws are the most practiced shot in all of basketball, and many have perfected the art of it. But during a game, there is always something going through a player's mind that could affect their shot, whether it be the echoing sounds of the crowd or the sheer pressure of the moment.
I think when you're shooting a free throw, it's more, okay, you have time to think about it, and some people do better in that situation, some people don't. The Cupertino game, I remember on a few of my free throws, I could hear the crowd cheering or like screaming at me, but I don't think it was that was influencing me. I remember specifically my mind, like I was thinking, don't let them affect you, but I think that was what made me miss.
The louder the crowd is, it's definitely, you feel the pressure, and especially if it's a crucial game and we're only down by a few points or we're up by a few points.
When players get stuck in shooting slumps, it just adds to the various thoughts surfacing their conscience and affects their play both on the court and at the line.
I hit a slump a few games ago. I think I went like 1 for 7 in 2 games. I think when it comes down to that, it's just coming down to fixing it comes down to more practice, because I think after those 2 games we had like a five practices in a row, and all I did was shoot free throws, and the next game I just got back into it.
Because of like the support of my teammates and like the positive stuff everyone says, it really helps me because I shake it off, and then it's easier to go back into the rhythm.
What may be the shot given the smallest point value is also one that often decides games, which both Rangarajan and Jaha have witnessed for themselves.
Somewhere, sometime, that free throw is going to count.
We won a few games by like 3 points, lost a few by like 2 or 3, so it's a game changer.
We've all seen the beautiful, blossoming Bradford pears in between the D&C building, but emanating from those pink buds is a scent that's less than pleasant.
Semen.
Disgusting.
Comforting. Dirty. Fish.
Wet clothes.
Inappropriate.
Pyrus caloriana, more commonly known as the calorie pear, this species of tree has a very distinct smell. There are many variants of it, including the Bradford pear and the Chanticleer, all of which are described to have a smell like rotting fish, or chlorine, or even semen. The smell is composed of amines, specifically dimethylamine and trimethylamine, which are also present in other smelling plants and in body odor. The calorie pear only begins to smell when it's in bloom, and with spring right around the corner, it's time to get used to the stench. Although they might not be noticeable now, Monte Vista has quite a few of these trees on campus, and it's also one of the trees approved by the city as a street tree. But why would people plant the trees if they smell so bad? AP Environmental Science teacher Andrew Goldenkrantz explains.
For a couple of reasons. One is they grow fast, they are disease resistant, they are acclimated well to this climate, and they're pretty. And they tend to grow upright as opposed to branches going out. And what that means is in a suburban area where you have pretty tight property lines, something that's going to grow vertically is going to be prized because you're going to be able to contain it nicely.
The answer lies not only in the appearance of the tree, but also in its resistance to diseases and pests. The tree was originally brought to the U.S. from China and South Asia, and it quickly gained popularity when the U.S. Department of Agriculture used it to help increase fire blight resistance in common pear trees. Then, in the 1950s and 60s, it became more well known as an ornamental tree, particularly because it has pretty white flowers, which show up in early spring, and because in fall its foliage turns shades of red, yellow, and dark purple. While to us its beauty remains hinged on its appearance, the appeal for birds and insects is in part because of its strong odor.
And keep in mind that a smell for fruit may mean different things to a bird than it may mean to you. So if you avoid it, another animal may like it. And that's the purpose of smell in fruit production for plants, is to attract typically bird pollinators. So a lot of times in plants we have visual attraction for insects and we have smell attraction for birds. So that's, in simple terms, that's the trade-off, is the tree looks good and it's disease resistant, but it smells.
We often say that seeing is believing, but when we can't rely on our sight, we have to put our faith in someone else's hands.
For some people, it's not easy to escape darkness. It's not as easy as just opening your eyes. About 1.3 million people in the United States are legally blind. They wake up to darkness every day. Imagine that. Celebrations, defining moments, creation, sacrifice, second chances, or smiles, memories, blurred, distorted, even blackened. It's not easy to escape darkness. It's not as easy as just opening your eyes. But with little help, it's not impossible.
This is Lawford, and he is 3.5 months in.
Okay, what's special about Lawford?
Oh, yeah, he's going to grow up to be a guide dog for the blind. So right now he is a puppy in training, and yeah, he's clearly a puppy.
Senior Karen Shee is what they call a puppy trainer. She got Lawford 3 months ago from an organization called Guide Dogs for the Blind. And this cute little puppy will grow up and maybe someday will give someone a chance at sight, give someone a new pair of eyes.
I mean, it's just always been hard because I don't see what everyone else sees. I didn't get to start driving at 16 like all my friends did. There's lots of things that I do every day that are not easy. So.
Spanish teacher Joyce Fortuna has a medical condition called macular degeneration. It basically distorts the center of someone's vision. So an image like this, with macular degeneration, might instead look something like this. Fortuna has partial vision, but occasionally she relies on her trained guide dog for support.
But just getting around, I mean, the dog can really open up the possibility of movement and take away nervousness.
Fortuna trained her dog herself, but organizations like Guide Dogs for the Blind train dogs before they are purchased. As a puppy raiser, for about 1.5 years, she teaches her puppies simple commands and basic etiquettes.
They have to be very solid. Like they can't be scared of things, and they have to be calm.
Lawford is the second puppy she has raised. The worst part, she said, was returning her first dog back. But knowing that the puppy she raised will make a difference for someone else made the pain worth it.
I would say that it's a really good experience. Even though you have to give them up eventually, it's really great attending the graduation, and you might even see them if their person lives nearby. It's kind of unlikely, but if they do, you do see them working with your dog, and it's kind of like, I did that.